Welcome to Cancer and Peace Moments. This is Peter. These moments are 15-minute clips of the larger episodes. Blessings. Yeah, thanks, Sean. So it definitely is a groundbreaking concept for me about exploring an emotional life within the context of the cancer journey. And so my story, and I've mentioned this before, is that I grew up as a feeling stuffer, as an emotion stuffer. Didn't want to experience emotions, maybe anger, but was not vulnerable, did not cry, did not show, quote, weakness or any kind of tough emotions, just didn't show it, and tried to suppress them. And it wasn't until my 14th surgery, and I've spoken a lot about that, where I was in that place of darkness, despair, only a 5% survival rate, and getting that news, being in ICU. And yet what happened was I was delivered a journal, as you know, empty journal. And that was the thing, exploring my emotions, that unlocked my healing, my rescue, my journey that brought me into life, from death to life, was processing those tough emotions, especially fear, anger, and sadness. And I think part of it is growing up in a community of faith, a faith community. And at the time, emotions were not encouraged. They were viewed as even sinful at times, I think I remember. So I was careful not to show fear or anger or sadness, because I wanted to, quote, be spiritual and spiritualize those emotions and what I was going through. But clearly, through my journey and I've detailed my cancer journey, but 17 going into 18 years, clearly I had tough emotions that needed to be processed. And I was stuck. And it wasn't until that time where the medical solutions were all gone, I thought I was going to pass, that what unlocked my healing and my journey into peace, into inner peace, was to express those emotions and process them.
This is good. You've set something up here, and it reminded me of something that you'll connect with, and is the Brene Brown, her work in this space. And I too grew up as an emotional stuffer. My wife would have said, up until like 6 years ago, I'm going to say, that she's seen me cry twice in our entire marriage. We've been married for going on 34 years right now. And so this is a place where I had that shared feeling, and there's also a shared revelation. But Brene Brown's work was something of trying to figure out what made somebody wholehearted. What was the difference between people who were wholehearted, and she put together criteria, and she did a lot of research. And if you haven't seen the TED Talk that's out there, I can't remember the exact title, but it's something about wholehearted people and Brene Brown. If you just TED Talk or do a search on TED Talks and Brene Brown, you'll come up with this. And one of the things that she found was that wholehearted people share those, you talked about the tough emotions, they share vulnerably the things that are happening in your life. And so you begin to share more vulnerably. But to do that, you have to be willing to share emotions. Mm-hmm. And I think the key thing that I kind of wanted to highlight off of is that she, in her work, described that you can't selectively stuff emotions. So what happened, the difference between wholehearted and people that weren't wholehearted, were others who tried to stuff their emotions, the hard things, and not share the real things that are in their lives. They would cover them up, when it may be with alcohol or any number of other coping mechanisms. It could be almost anything, sex, drugs, rock and roll. You get the point. It's like there's all kinds of things that we can cover them up with. But when we cover or we stuff those emotions, we also stuff joy. We stuff all the great things. So we can't just stuff the things that we don't like. And so what kicked me off into thinking about that was you talked about experiencing difficult emotions. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to just re-look at that for a second, because the importance of actually expressing difficult emotions and not stuffing them is it opens the doorway to feeling the peace and joy that we talk about here. And what I recognize is that there was a truth that was there, and that was feeling that I spent most of my life then doing intellectual exercises because I didn't love the rest of me.
Wow.
And without knowing that, I was covering up something. I was covering up feelings of unworthiness, of unlovability, all these types of things that were affecting the way I thought and acted. And man, that is like this aha moment. It's like a light bulb coming on. Wait a second, that's affecting the way I think and act. And so then I spent most of my adult years over intellectualizing because I was looking at my mind as something that's valuable, but my body as something that wasn't valuable, that was unlovable. And by not processing that feeling or emotion, I was doing unhealthy things and being unhealthy. And really important learning for me, but it adjusted kind of my life. The moment I processed, the moment I felt it, the moment I was able to sit in the more difficult emotion and feel it, it changed a bit about who I am and how I interacted. And so, and I say that is just when you're in this cancer journey, you're coming into something, and there's probably some people here who haven't been stripped, like we talked about in the last episode, stopped and where they're at and asked what's most important. And I think part of the call is to stop and feel the loss, feel the grief, feel the sadness, feel the pain, feel the disappointment. And in that, there's something to be learned, and it's going to open the door to something else.
Yeah, I think of a few phrases, just catchy little phrases like to feel is to heal and to reveal is to heal. So how important, and you know, our emotionally healthy spirituality tool, that unprocessed emotions that are buried don't die, you know, but they stay buried within and wreak all kinds of havoc. Not to do that. And so I think from a faith-based community point of view, which is where I'm coming from and going into this cancer journey, it was interesting to express tough emotions to a lot of Christians that were really taken back by that, you know, like, oh boy, you know, Peter's in a crisis of faith and, you know, what's going on with him, what's wrong with him. And yet I believe God was saying, yes, process those emotions. And because I wired you with those emotions, and I have a scriptural truth for you also to fill your mind and your soul with. And you know, it's all through the Psalms. I mean, I read a Psalm every day. And
yes, I want you to tell me about the Psalm because I think, and there's a concept here I want to, as you say it, I want to think about this too. It's, I'm only stopping you because you mentioned process, and process could be something that maybe feel and express. Feel and express is a form of process. And if you don't feel the emotion, you're not processing the emotion. You could say, I'm going to intellectualize that there's sadness out there somewhere or anger out there, but you actually have to feel the emotion and in some ways let that expression take place in your body to process it. And the reason why I stopped you is because I think if you now go to where you're getting ready to go in the Psalms, it's like, what's taking place here?
Yeah. And I also want to do the heart check tool.
At the end, yes, I think that's a good, I'd like to leave that tool.
So cancer patients, we have a tool for you to use that will help you explore your emotional life. Excuse me. And I'm so impressed with the Psalms, mostly written by David, and how he's so willing to step into the anger, the sadness, the fear, and even the joy and everything going on inside of him, that he just states it. It just bubbles out of him.
He's expressing them.
He doesn't have to think about it really. I mean, obviously our mind is engaged, but his heart is just like bursting forth that, man, I'm angry about this. Do this, God. And where are you, God? And I feel like I'm sinking. And it just comes out of him naturally. And I think it's beautiful.
And so I think on the backside of that, I think one of the things that you wanted to leave with people here was a way to start that processing.
Yeah. So it comes out of the halls of recovery, specifically relapse, but it's a nice tool to help to get into an emotional life, and it's called a heart check, H.E.A.R.T, and the H stands for hurting. So the question is, am I hurting? The E stands for exhausted. Am I exhausted? A is angry. Am I angry? R is resentful. Am I resentful towards someone? And T is tense. Am I tense? And even to journal that, but just to ask myself that every day, those questions. Where am I at? It's kind of like a temperature reading.
And at some point, we're going to have one of our friends here who's big in the trauma healing area come in and talk about, where do you feel tension at? Those are things that you and I have gone through in that training or in those teachings, which have been good because you feel tension in your body. And I love this concept of your body is a major prophet, not a minor prophet. And that's learning to feel. Your body is going to feel before your mind even knows what's going on. And this is why it's important to start processing, because if your body feels it, it will come up with a solution to manage that pain, that suffering. But if you take time to process it and feel it and express it and understand it, then you can come to a healthy place that actually allows you to grow. And so for me, I like the heart check. I don't do always a full heart check, but this is a daily inventory exercise in recovery, meaning that you can set it into a daily rhythm of quiet time or morning time, or it could happen any time of the day, or a daily rhythm of going through a heart check. Almost without fail on a daily basis, I check for tension and anxiety. Because anxiety is always a trigger that there's something that I need to release. And so I feel anxiety in my stomach first.
Yeah.
And as I feel the anxiety in my stomach, and I've learned to go, why is that there? What's causing me to feel anxious? Where is it coming from? And if I start and I have this as a routine, what I find is that a lot of times I'll find, well, I'm worried about something in the mission that I feel like I need to control or manage, that I need to consciously release to God. Hey, I'm trying to manage either the finances or relational strife. Most of the time it's relational strife because I feel tension when there's relational strife among myself or family or even members that are part of the team here. And then I have to make a decision. Hey, am I going to work on forgiveness? Am I going to release this to God and say, this is yours to manage, not mine? But these are all part of the processes. And then if I just felt anxiety and stuffed it, it wouldn't die. It would still be there.
Right.
And it would just grow and grow and grow and grow.
That's good. I like that. I think about it in a cancer journey, anxiety, which is really fear. And I've experienced that emotion quite a bit. And it's usually that I'm scared that of what we're going to find in the test. We're going to find more cancer. I've had 6 recurrences and it's, pain and suffering and the threat of death. I have metastatic cancer now. And so the issue of letting go, releasing to a higher power is huge on this point. And I think for me, it's, can my higher power be trusted? That's a foundational question. And I've come to the realization through my journey, through pain and dealing with what's happened in my cancer journey, that yes, my higher power, that God can be trusted. He can be trusted with my life, with my soul. I remember in 2017 when the doctor came in with a surgeon oncologist fellow, a tumor the size of a tennis ball, tumors throughout, and they said, that's it, we're done. And I remember saying to myself, God, can I trust you with my spirit and my soul that will live on in spite of this body? And the answer was yes. It was not an easy transition to make, to think that way, but the answer was yes. And it's because
he could be trusted.
Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Blessings.